What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo, and here's looking at you, kid. Oh, we are going to have a great show because we are going to talk about everybody's fantasy, not Jed York's, but everybody's fantasy football takes. And we're going to bring in one of our guys, talks about fantasy all the time. We call him Dubs. He is one half of Great North Sports. Let's bring him in. But also my guy Evo, welcome into the show.
Yep. All right. I can't wait because this is basically like pornography for women here. We're bringing in Dubs, our guy from Great North Sports. Dubs, how are you doing, brother? Great to have you.
Fantastic. Appreciate you guys having me. Ready to talk some football. 'Tis the season. I feel like I've been so stuck on baseball this summer, and now we're so close to football. I would need to just rip the Band-Aid off and get back into the content.
Yeah, it's weird because like we wait this whole time. We're like, oh, I can't wait. I just want some training camp, and then I just want some preseason football. Now it's like I've seen 2 preseason games. Like, give me fucking real football now.
Yeah,
like let's make some cuts. We are real close to cut down day. We're real close to seeing some actual football. It's very exciting, and with that, we're getting right into the heat of fantasy draft season, which is we always do a show every year talking about fantasy football. Some guys that we like, some guys we want to fade. Some strat with it. So super happy to have you on to be able to talk about that stuff, along with some other stuff that's generally been happening in sports. A lot of it happening over in the Cleveland area and Ohio and whatnot recently. Not always good things there, but going to be excited to talk about that with you.
I'm always up for talking about trailer park crimes.
Yeah, trailer park crimes. They go hard in Ohio. So Dubs, since this is the first time that we've had you on the show, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody who is tuning in now and where they can check you guys out at after, and then we'll make sure we hit that again on our way out.
Absolutely. So I'm Dubs. I'm from Great North Sports. I used to do a show called the Stone Sports Podcast, which is what all of my socials are. You can find me in the YouTube chat, Twitter, Instagram, all the things. But yeah, me and Armchair met doing sports content. This app called Colorcast 5 years ago now. And we kind of had a couple different iterations of what the show is, and then we got in with Jeremy and Tank and you guys, and focus a lot on baseball and hockey, but at our core we're football guys. I mean, who isn't? That's the whole group here. We're all football guys. So yeah, doing a lot of that, a lot of keep it light, just like over here. I feel like the audience that cross-pollinates, we've all got the same sort of sense of humor. But we're talking fantasy football tonight. If you guys are interested in finding out Armchair's opinions on things, he's like the main fantasy football guy on our end. And he's got a guide that's in all of our fantasy football videos. You can find it in our description on YouTube, his socials, Great North Sports socials. But check that out if you're interested in what he's got to say. I got it pulled up too, so throwing a little bit of his stuff in there too. But excited to get on here for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It is very good to have you. And we got some wild topics to discuss today. We've kind of alluded to it. So let's just start diving right in. Kind of like Jed York did.
It sounded like he was diving right in.
Trailer park pussy. He's like, here we go, baby. I'm ready. I thought it was 140, but I was corrected before the show.
Oh, yeah.
And it
was $160. He kept an extra $20 in case he had to get rid of the baby in that very same trailer park. I'm sure that's how much it costs out there in East Palestine, which honestly, it just feels good to not have to feel bad about laughing about something going on in Palestine for once. You're like, this is totally justified. We can go right in on this guy. You can blame a guy looking for a toothless blowjob.
Yeah. No, not necessarily. The Gummer is an amazing thing, but to resort to going to the trailer park, which apparently, according to the Mahoning Valley Law Enforcement Task Force, he contacted like this online ad for it 3 times. Like he was desperate for the Gummer.
He needed some of that pussy.
Yeah,
or it was a Gummer. Nothing
hits. Nothing hits like some East Palestine, Ohio poontang.
Imagine having $1 billion and you're just like, I'd really just love to bang some trailer park whore. Like that's the only way that I can take care of what we got going on down here.
I've never partook, obviously, because I'm a very happily married man, in the services of a working woman. I would imagine
it's the oldest profession.
The very true. I would imagine that the elites of our world, the ones who have the billions of dollars with a B in their bank account or more, are able to access the high-end version of these ladies, and that they're able to do things that you never want people to know about. Not that you want people knowing that you're with a prostitute in the first place, but you're able to find your way to the Epstein Island style versions of things if you really want to. And so to
Vegas, like you can just get one there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to result to like, I need this grungy fucking death addicted trailer park puss. Like that is a hell of a kink. And we don't want to kink.
I'm looking for C-section scars. Like I want to see the nitty gritty.
Mm-hmm.
I just, of all the things that like movies have lied to me about, I feel like this is the biggest lie. Because you see the Jed York being caught in a trailer park, Mr. Crafts potentially caught in
he was in an orchids of Asia. Who's to say what's going on in there?
Right,
allegedly
in Asian massage park. Like when I think of a prostitute and football players, my mind instantly goes to Any Given Sunday, where she's like, "Hey, Tony D." And she's the hottest lady. Like, why are we resorting from what I feel like is potentially high quality ladies of the night to go after things that you don't need? Is it like it's some sort of weird fetish?
It's got to be something. I assume like low profile too, but at the same time, like if you're in a place like that and you're that famous, you're like, is that Bob Kraft in fucking Jupiter, Florida right now? No way. Like it has to be for like anonymity, but at the same time, you stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, that's very true. And that look, this does seem like kind of a Pretty Woman situation, just completely gone wrong. She could have had her come us, but I mean, look, I didn't know what Jed York looked like prior to this.
Oh, I do now.
You take the suit off. He looks like he could, hang around some trailer parks.
I thought the same
mix
thing.
Right in.
I was like, I could see this guy getting a prostitute for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like several, most weeknights.
Absolutely. So things are going great for the 49ers, obviously. We'll add this on to a really fun offseason and, prior to the season for them. Everyone's getting hurt. I
was going to say, how much of this whole situation can we blame on the substation?
You would think that the substation has something to do with this.
Yeah, right. It's just like a mental lapse.
Your head coach can't let autopilot drive correctly on his Tesla and goes cracking his face open. It's wild. Look, this has been one of the more interesting off seasons as far as non-player issues. Like you've got the whole Diana Rossini and everything with Vrabel happening. It's usually the players getting in trouble, and not that they haven't been. The whole situation with Terry and Arnold was pretty fucking wild, but to have this happen to coaches and ownership and things like that, it's a fun off season. It just goes to show that we're all human beings. We're all fucked up in some way, shape, or form.
I feel like it's becoming more and more of a like reality TV show because we have cameras in every goddamn locker room now. It feels like all the time. Which I mean, don't get me wrong.
Still haven't seen what Christian Wilkins was up to. Not enough cameras, apparently.
We don't need to see that. Let the man have his privacy. But we kind of started off the show a little rough. We use a lot of disparaging words potentially towards the ladies. But ladies, I promise we do not dislike you. We don't hate you at all. We are huge fans of women on this show.
Get your money.
Yes, absolutely. And listen, Enes Canter Freedom is a crazy woman. Oh God, I don't know if I can keep going down that trail of making that joke. Wild things happening in the WNBA again. Dildos are back on the court and apparently are just normal dicks because Enes Canter decided he was going to show up to a WNBA game and kind of make himself involved in it.
Yeah. It's still here.
Yeah.
It's not mine, I swear.
I knew you.
Oh, it's just within arm's reach from your computer.
You never, I keep that thing on me, you know? You never know when you might need to huck it at, some professional athletes. Yeah, that situation is crazy. I get a lot of why he's doing it, but also it's become like way more than just saying like, the whole argument of no men and women's sports. It is becoming a circus, and one that the WNBA is doing a terrible job of like quelling. Like, you could easily put a stop to a lot of this by coming out with an official position, and they've completely balked on that. They've failed. They apparently had meetings for like 10 hours and came out and were like, we can't fucking come to a conclusion. Like, it is a touchy subject, but also one that a professional league should be able to put their heads together and figure this shit out to have a good way forward.
Also, if they really wanted to take the attention away from Enes Canter, throwing him out of a game like while this is all happening is probably not the best way to do that.
Yeah. He's now been banned from the stadium as well. So that situation is not getting any better. They're just causing more of, hey, he's now not allowed.
Now, obviously, he's not going to get drafted, but if he were to get drafted, I wonder how that would work out if his team were to play there.
I feel like this could have just been solved with behind closed doors, just like, we're not drafting him. It's like, well, yeah, we're not either. Like, where it was just kind of keep this on the low, keep it quiet, and
no one wants that
situation. Apparently not.
Winning the WNBA championship, because that's what would happen if you drafted Enes Canter. You would just throw it to him down low, and he would fucking dominate in the post.
Yeah,
but nobody wants to win that bad.
Nobody would run over all those bitches. Yeah. I don't.
Well, you see the shoulders on that bitch? She's huge.
Prime Shaq.
Very much so. But look, it gets better, guys. More fun in Ohio. The rapist is back in the starting role there for the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson named the starter for Mike's team. Exactly what he wanted all along, right? And Shedeur is going to be that primary backup. How much of a play do you think this is, Mike and Dubs, to try to go after that number 1 overall pick? Does it really matter if it was Deshaun or Shedeur playing? And is it worth all this BS that the team and the ownership and everybody is getting for Deshaun being named that starter?
Has to be for the number 1 pick. Has to be just draft position. There's so many quarterbacks in this next class, and there's not a franchise out there that needs one more than Cleveland. And then, sorry, what was your second question? I had it and I lost it.
Basically,
was there a difference between him and Shedeur? No. Yeah. No, rock in a hard place. I think you could have gone either way, and you're still in contention for a high enough draft pick to get one of these top quarterbacks. And I don't think it really matters.
Well, Mike's noted Shedeur fan and thinks that there could be something there.
You got the Browns at 7 wins?
I had them at 7 wins, and that was with Myles Garrett still on the team.
Okay, all right. That makes me feel a little bit better about it.
So it was early on in the process that I did those rankings. So
the Kool-Aid was still fresh. I got you.
Yeah. Now, in terms of, is this a draft position play? I don't know. I mean, I don't think that Deshaun gives them a better chance to win at all.
Certainly not a better look.
No, it's a terrible look. I don't think that Todd Monken is trying to necessarily tank the year, though. I think it's possible that he wants to start the veteran quarterback. I think it's also possible that it's because they need to show that Deshaun does not have it, that the injuries and everything, we have tried several times with this guy, and he just does not have it. We gave him every opportunity.
Give him a private jet.
And he failed. It's not our fault. It's not on the organization. We did everything we could to give him the chances to win, is what they're going to say by allowing this to happen one more time. They've got young weapons. They improved the offensive line, but it's a terrible decision. If he plays well enough, say they hit my fucking 7-10 mark, we're fucked. That's a terrible spot to be in. We are not going to get the quarterback that we want.
Yeah.
So playing
the worst place in sports is to be mediocre.
Absolutely. Because you just the Houston Rockets. I'm not even a basketball guy, but I know they are perpetually mediocre and they will stay there for forever.
Before Josh Allen, it was the Bills forever. They'd rip off 5 to 8 wins, never make the playoffs, never get a high enough draft pick to get out of that spot.
Or the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
They are
now.
Right at 500. Yeah, they probably should be doing a hard reset there. Look, Mike and I both have kind of said we're not a fan of Deshaun being the starter because worst case, Shedeur plays bad if you start him and you get yourself a good draft pick. Best case, you actually see a little bit more development and maybe why some people were high on him, and you're able to make a better, more informed decision going into next year in the offseason of what you want to do to attack this. If you do get to that kind of mediocrity, you are going to have to sell the whole farm in order to get draft picks, in order to try to move around and get the quarterback that you do want. It's a bad spot to be in. But I will say this, by naming Deshaun the starter, you do have that lever to pull to move to Shedeur later in the season when things probably inevitably don't go well. If it's the other way around, you kind of want to just ride with Shedeur the whole season. But if he's having bad games, you are going to hear the boo birds saying, we need to change up, put Deshaun out there.
Sure, I agree.
You're going to hear boo birds regardless.
But you will never the boo birds, if Shedeur plays and plays really poorly, will never be as loud as the boo birds, even if Watson plays well.
Right.
It will not matter. And I talked about this last night with the Sportsocracy guys. The fact that the fans cheered when he was hurt, he is justifiably angry with the fan base for that. That's fucked up. Cheering somebody's downfall, an injury on your own team, is shitty behavior for a fan base. I understand that the fan base has hated him since he's gotten here, and I understand why. Not justified to cheer his injury, in my opinion, but completely justified to not like him. And his play has been so bad that the boos are completely justified for the play as well. So there's a lot of things that are correct in this situation. But if they, to your point, Evo, if they were to go with Shedeur, I feel like they could never make the switch to Watson because it would, what we know, he was worse than Shedeur in camp. So now we're going to go to him and we all fucking hate him as well. Nobody will show up. You do it this way, Watson plays, people are pissed. They see that he sucks, but at least there's a little glimmer of hope on the backside of that Shedeur could come in and provide this team a spark and we could have some fun watching football. So from a purely economic standpoint, even, I think it makes a little bit of sense to do it this way.
If you time it right, too, you might be able to just ride out the whole season with that 1-2 punch. The taking Deshaun out, getting Shedeur in there, and hopefully the season's over by the time the fans are ready to turn on him.
Yeah.
But even
Hopefully
if you
they don't.
separate,
It would be cool if they didn't turn on him. It would be awesome if we went like 1-3 to start the year. They're like, all right, Deshaun, you're fucking done. And then we rattled off like 10 wins in a row with Shadur, because then I'd have 2 first-round picks to make my team even better. But I know, Dubs, you're not a believer in Shadur at all.
No, I'm not, but it's okay. He's a Pro Bowler. So is Mac Jones year 1. I got excited about that, so I know where you're at. I was there.
I think when we ended up doing our final record predictions, I might have been even higher on the Browns than Mike was as far as the record prediction. But a big part of that for me is that I do think that defensively they're essentially complete. Like, they're very good defensively, even without Myles Garrett. Offensively, I like some of the weapons that they added. I think they got good running back in Quinshon Judkins, and then they did get better on the offensive line. I'm not willing to say yet that it's good, but I think that they're a quarterback away from being a very competitive team. If you look statistically, I believe it's over like the past 3 or 4 years, if a team is in the top 5 in defense, all they need is the 19th best offense, and they are a playoff team 70% of the time.
CJ Stroud was dog shit last year, and the Texans almost fell into a conference championship appearance.
And bad offensive line, no running it. There's a lot of things that can happen. So you don't need to have a 100% complete team in order to be a playoff worthy team. They've got the defense for it. I think that they have some of the offensive weapons for it now. They just have to be able to get that ball out. My Vikings are a very similar example. We had a top 5 defense. We have all the offensive weapons. Worst quarterback play in the league, arguably. And we still were 9-8, and we were within a win of going to the playoffs. So it's definitely doable. If Shadur were to, because I don't see Deshaun necessarily making that jump anymore back to what his previous form was. But if Shadur were to make an increase in his play and just get close to average football, you could start to see this team get more wins than most people are expecting. So I don't think it's out of the question. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, how long, because I do think that it's going to be a very short leash with Deshaun, and whether that is just bad play or injury, because obviously he hasn't been able to stay healthy. One way or the other, I think that we will start to see Shadur Sanders at quarterback pretty quick.
I'm honestly shocked Watson came back at all. If it were me, I'm out. I got guaranteed money. I got a jet. They're going to hate me no matter what I do. They're not going to hate me anymore if I just take my money and run. I wouldn't even come back.
Honestly, I think people would have a little bit more like, all right, finally, fucking thank you.
Right.
And just let him fade into obscurity.
Yep.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen, because once his contract is done here, he's absolutely going to try to sign somewhere else. Now, what team would possibly think about bringing him in? I have no idea. Because I feel like there's still a PR nightmare that
100%.
goes along with Deshaun Watson, because
you think you're living it right now.
So the holdover from the Browns thing, like when he first got here, all the allegations, I feel like some people that has gone away because it's not so much in the forefront anymore. But the poor play coupled with the I guess interactions with the fans, why would you bring in a guy that has shown that maybe he's a little mentally fragile when things are not going his way with the fan base, and has shown that his play is not, not up to par, not even close.
There's nothing about his play that would make me want him on my team. And then you add in the person that you're getting, I'm good. There's nothing. He's a backup to a guy, like a Lamar Jackson, because he can give a similar type of look if Lamar goes down. To me, league minimum is too much for me to take him on my team. I'm good. Want no part.
Yeah.
I don't know how long this experiment is going to last. It might, listen, we could all be wrong, and the Browns could be incredible with Deshaun Watson.
He says with a smirk.
Listen, I was at practice today. We were hunting good stuff at practice today. We had a tough week 1. against Steubenville. We got our tails kicked a little bit. So we were hunting good stuff this week to make sure that we are riding high going into week 2. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Maybe we'll be good. I don't have a lot of faith in that. Even when my team had Myles Garrett, we had a less than 500 record, and it was not 7 wins. We were 6-11.
Not only Myles Garrett, record-breaking Myles Garrett, unstoppable Myles Garrett.
Yeah, who will now be playing on probably the greatest defense of all time. Aaron Donald is what? We think he's a week away from signing.
It's got to be. It's got to be soon.
I
unless he's not coming back to like mid-season and he's just going to be around working out until then. Like,
but can he do that?
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I would assume. Why not?
Well, God, I feel like that would be a huge, like that's an extra guy in the locker room because you would still carry your normal 53, and then if you got Aaron Donald just kind of hanging out, working out.
What if you just called him some sort of assistant? You're just like, oh no, he's an assistant to the defense.
That's the thing is, I think that he's obviously stayed in shape without being next to the team. If there's a side agreement that like, hey, you're going to come, they can absolutely have the playbook and communication with coaches and all that stuff without being signed. All you look as long as he's not.
I don't think it's legal though. It's like what I'm getting at. Like,
I mean, it might
it's not legal to go get prostitutes for $160 in trailer parks either, but people are trying to do it.
Which one thing I forgot to bring up with that whole Jed York situation is going to be really interesting to see how the NFL approaches this because Robert Kraft got multiple misdemeanors, and if correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that he got no reprimand from the league. Like from what I can sign, there was no official penalty from the NFL. They did not technically officially suspend or fine Robert Kraft, according to Google Gemini.
I thought he fined him like 250 is what I.
He did fight. Mind. He fought the fuck out of it. He like went to court, got a huge super team, so he might have like done enough in court where they couldn't like actually give him some sort of suspension because he was like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. Court said I didn't. I remember it dragging out for a very long time, and all the media around here was like, it's fine, just say you did it, pay a little money and move on.
Legally, Florida appeals court ruled that the police used hidden cameras illegally, which violated Kraft's constitutional rights, and so basically nothing came of that. It
took a long time to get there though.
But this one kind of seems like a slam dunk. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Jed York is going to hire the most crack team possible that he can find off of trailerparks.com or whatever as well.
Imagine spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on like lawyers and shit, and when you're trying to get a fucking blowjob in a trailer park for $160. You're like, man, this escalated. I don't remember.
It was $160 for an hour of fun. That's what the agreement was, apparently. But yeah.
Can somebody tell me what the possession of a criminal tool is? As it relates to
I can Google that.
Well, that's part of his arrest.
Of
disorderly conduct and possession of a criminal tool. Did he have a green thing on him as well? You keep that thing on him?
There's nothing criminal.
WNBA ticket on him.
Nothing criminal. All right. Some other Cleveland related news. Again, said we're going to kind of be sticking with this quite a bit. Nick Chubb, legend there for the Browns, finally hangs up the cleats, calls it a career. Mike, I know he's one of your favorite players out there. Obviously had a phenomenal career. But yeah, the injuries were tough. But what are your thoughts on Nick Chubb?
Quick? It says possession of criminal tools is a criminal charge applied when someone has an item, substance, or device with the intent to use it to commit a crime. I assume it's his dick. I think they charge like just straight on the member there. Like, yeah, you were up to no good with that thing, brother.
Brought a rubber fist.
It was literally for his tool. All right.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
His dental dam.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about somebody who's way more badass than Jed York, Nick Chubb. I mean, he's fucking incredible, man. From the moment that he showed up, just went to work. I remember like he was getting no fucking playing time because Hugh Jackson's dumbass.
There's not a bigger, dumber ass out there.
3 carries at one point, 2 touchdowns, but only ended up with 3 carries in the entire game. I'm pretty sure is the way it ended. But when he finally got the call to be the dude, he kind of became the dude. He was the offense. Kevin Stefanski, his offense was predicated on how good Nick Chubb could be. So prayers to Bijan. And also, if you draft Bijan in fantasy, he's probably going to have a massive fucking workload because Stefanski loves to give the running back the ball.
And Algier's gone. Yeah, the bad man is gone.
He is.
He's also going to ruin Jeremiah Love's rookie year.
Yeah. But like he was the consummate professional. When he left, I was heartbroken that they let him go. I wish that he had been able to come back, but the knee injury was devastating. I will never forgive Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think he's a fucking bitch for forever for that cheap shot. Nick Chubb is the epitome of like running back. Like he just was a workhorse. I love everything about him, man. I can't say enough good things about him. One of my favorite players of all time. His jersey's literally hanging right here on my wall. And I'm glad that he is at peace with his decision and he is happy with the career that he had because he was fucking incredible. He was almost untackleable for a couple of years.
He also they thought he was going to be done in college. I remember I turned on that game where he was it broken leg, torn something, whatever it was, and he got hurt at Georgia. All of it. I turned it on right as that happened. I was over at my buddy's place, like, oh, I want to watch college football, throw it on, and like within seconds, Nick Chubb was horrifically injured. I was like, well, there goes his career, and he ended up being what, a 10-year NFL vet, close to it. Yeah,
no, maybe 8. No, 8.
Either way, he was there a long time, and he was a top 5 player at his position for a hot minute. That's crazy. And then to come back from the second one and still get even a little bit more time in the league, shout him out. Great fucking player.
It'll be interesting to see. I would assume that he will accept this, but the Cleveland Browns did offer him a 1-day contract to retire as a Brown. So
as he should, if he were going to do anything else, like it would be a slap in the face to Browns fans. I know.
You think he goes with the Texans?
No, absolutely not.
H-Town.
If he could tell Jimmy Haslam to fuck off. But listen, Nick Chubb loves Cleveland. Like he is Cleveland. He embraced the city. The city embraced him. I'm happy that they have signed him to the 1 day so he can retire as a Brown. It's the only way it should happen.
Yep. Well, someone who's not going to be retiring as a Brown, Dae'Quan Wright, waived by the Browns and proceeds.
We don't know that yet.
He could come back.
He could come back.
Could come back, have a Hall of Fame career. Who knows?
Yeah, I look, that would be the craziest wrap around to, be a Brown, released by the Browns or waived by them, go back to college, and then to come back and become a Brown again and somehow retire there. That'd be insane. But Dae'Quan Wright, tight end, formerly of Ole Miss, has been waived by the Cleveland Browns and is set to join Lane Kiffin at LSU, the first NFL player to go back to college. Very interesting turn of events with this one. And very quickly, the Big Ten and SEC now have banned players leaving the professional leagues and trying to come back to college. Thoughts on this and how NIL and all this stuff is just messing with the leagues and how this stuff has to get under wraps?
This is bullshit. This is 100% bullshit. He's had his opportunity, and now he's going to go back and take an opportunity from somebody else who's in college who thought they were about to get their shot. It's bullshit. Like, I know that you want to make money, and here's the thing. Because of NIL, they want to go back and make money wherever they can because they're probably not going to have these long NFL careers like they were hoping, or he is hoping, because this is, I guess, the only guy that's ever happened to. But it's wildly unfair to all of the college athletes. And it's not just like, this is a huge problem when this has been stemming since the transfer portal. Guys are committing at a place and saying, I'm only here so I can be in college and put something else on tape because Friday nights are over, but I'm going somewhere else. Nobody's making actual commitments. Everybody's looking for that next thing because everybody's looking for the next payday because everybody is getting paid now. There's money of some kind for being a college athlete. So while I know why it's happening, it's because of the money aspect, but I love that guys get paid. This particular situation is fucked up. He's had a shot. He tried. It didn't work. He's been waived by 2 NFL teams now. Thank you, producer Amber, for dropping that in the notes. He should not be able to go back. Like, as soon as you get put on an NFL roster, you are ruled ineligible. Like, that's the way it used to be. If you got paid for any fucking sport at all, you were ruled ineligible. If you play at the professional ranks at all, you should be ruled ineligible from the college ranks, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed.
So, undrafted, signs with the Eagles, then is released August 10th, I believe, and goes to your Browns. You'll have a more intimate knowledge of this, Mike, but right now your depth chart at tight end behind Harold Fannin Jr. is a lot of names and guys that I'm not super familiar with. Blake Whiteheart, Joe Royer, Ryan Carson, or Carson Ryan, I don't know, 2 first names, and Jermaine Terry, made up name. I kind of liked Dae'Quan Wright a little bit in this draft class. I thought that he had some ability as a receiver. I feel like he could have possibly made it onto your roster, but I mean, if things aren't really going well, I understand why he might try to go back and get his money, but also the long play is to make your money in the NFL, and in a Todd Monken system, which isn't against using 2 tight ends. We saw Isaiah Likely, have his success there in Baltimore previously. Like, I mean, it must have been a hefty NIL payday to just be like, no, fuck it, I'm jumping back, because I think he could have possibly made your roster.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, I think he could probably make over $1 million in college, and he's going to make undrafted free agent like minimums if he makes the NFL. So there's more money for him back in college. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So it makes sense financially for him to go back. In terms of the fucking roster and the depth chart, Whiteheart is going to be there to be our more inline guy. Fannin is obviously our move tight
Dawg.
end. Royer, I feel like, is a guy who's going to potentially, if he ever decides to play, if he even makes the roster, could be a backup to Fannin in a more move tight end style. I don't know that I would ever see as Dae'Quan Wright as being an inline guy. So I don't know that there's a real role for him because you're not going to keep 5 tight ends. You're probably going to keep 2 guys that can block and 2 guys that can be moved tight ends. Considering that we just drafted Joe Royer, I feel like he's more likely to make the roster. So then it comes down to Carson Ryan, who honestly I don't know much about, but he's a BYU dude who probably just blocks his ass off. Seems like another inline guy. So like, I just don't know if there's it makes sense as an undrafted guy to keep him around. And for him, the fact that there is a college that's willing to be like, yeah, bro, fuck yeah, we'll pay you. Come play for us. Because obviously he was good enough to get signed to 2 different rosters and be in camp. He's going to be good enough to play at any Power 4 school that he wants to go to.
Fair enough. All right. I think we got maybe like one last thing to go over before we get into kind of the bread and butter of this particular show, which is going over fantasy football. The NFL rivalry uniforms for 2026 were released today. I know, Mike, you said you didn't get a chance to look at too many of them here. Dubs, I know you saw some, but
yep.
Go ahead and pull this up here real quick. A look here at the uniforms for us. My Minnesota Vikings obviously got theirs, the NFC North and the AFC. Is that South, I believe?
Yeah, South.
And
cool.
We got some decent ones and some head scratchers for me. You got the Detroit Lions looking like the Detroit Panthers.
Yep.
You've got Chicago Bears looking like University of Illinois.
Yeah, that's exactly what that looks like.
The Colts in a alternate Detroit Lions uniform. Jaguars, they've got leopard printed pants, which you can't see on here, that are
Very
black
Florida.
leopard print. Great meme I saw on there. It looks like my wife's Lululemon yogurt pants. Thoughts on these rivalry uniforms? The Packers one, everyone knows I'm not a Packers fan. I think it looks clean. You can't go wrong with a kind of nostalgic old school feel, which is generally what they have. The Houston stuff, the white with the baby blues, like always fire. And I'm very partial to my Vikings, even though it does look a lot like the Ravens rivalry uniform. I will say, Vikings were franchise for 30 plus years before the Ravens were, so we kind of have our flag planted in the purple. So fuck off with that. But thoughts on these uniforms, fellas?
I think you kind of hit it exactly what I'm thinking. Like, there's way too much similarities to other teams for me to like say that some of these are good. Detroit, like you said, looks like the Panthers. I think the Colts look like a Lions alternate from like 10 years ago, like the Megatron days. I think the Texans one looks like the Titans. Like, the only ones I really like are the Titans. I thought the Packers were solid too. Anything but having them wear those dark blue jerseys with the brown, awful. Don't want to see that ever. Same with the Steelers throwbacks. I'm pass on that. I liked the Jaguars because it's like, I think I liked the ridiculous factor of it. Like, they're gonna go out there with leopard print pants. Hell yeah. That's crazy Florida. That's the shit I like. And then the Bears were definitely the worst for me. Like, there's no world where I want the Bears wearing dark blue and orange. Like, I flop it. They already have a good one. I like their orange alternates with the dark blue pants. This just seems like a cheap rip off of that one. And yeah, you look like Illinois, you look like Syracuse, you look like a high school team. Stop it.
Yeah.
So I don't hate all of them, but I hate most of them. So I like Tennessee's. I like
collectively, that's the one I've seen the least amount of hate on online so far today.
I like their helmet. The helmet is kind of what sells it. I don't love the jersey, but I really like the helmet. I like the Houston whites. Like, the all white jerseys are kind of clean, but it looks so similar to a Titans jersey.
For sure. They also had the H-Town jerseys last year with the same sort of color scheme, and I liked those way more than the whites.
So the Vikings one is not bad. I gotta say the Packers is probably the best one in my mind.
I feel like the Packers one took the least amount of like liberties. It was not risky at all. They went with a very classic number style. It's a very nostalgic kind of old school feel. And again, like, you almost can't go wrong with like a nostalgic uniform. Those retro styles are always killer.
Are they gonna change it from the Fighting Illini to the Fighting Hoosiers, since now they're in Indiana? These Bears jerseys are awful.
They're terrible.
Yeah. And whoever thought we need to put Caleb's zesty ass on this couch with a football in his crotch and like make him sexy pose? Come on now.
The Colts looks like a freaking Tiburon.
The Colts are bad.
Jersey. The Tiburon jerseys from Madden again, like created team jerseys. Yeah, most of these are not great. Like,
last year's rivalries blow them out of the water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there was a bad rivalry jersey last year.
The Cardinals, that was it.
That's the thing, is like the Cardinals, I really disliked them, and then like after a little while they grew on me.
Seeing them on the field wasn't as bad as when they were like first released, but I still wasn't a fan. They're definitely the worst one in my opinion. But when I knew these were coming tonight, I was like, I'm gonna get on the podcast with the military men, talk some fashion. This is gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Look, we are multi-generational, multifaceted dudes here. We're not scared to talk about painting our nails.
My mom has said to me before when she like hears me talking about jerseys and stuff, and she's like, "You're so into their clothes, and I don't understand it." I'm like, it's an important part of it. You don't get it.
This is fashion, Mom. It's a big part of football is fashion. Have you see Joe Burrow walking the stadium?
Yeah, they show those shots every time. It is a big part of it.
The walk-ins.
Yeah.
I always loved Halloween. Halloween was like my favorite walk-in day. to see how guys would dress up.
Those are good.
Because I'm not a fashion guy. I don't like, oh, look, he's wearing a Versace, whatever the fuck. And I don't know.
That's the spring collection from 2017.
The biggest thing to me is I could care less what they walk in wearing, but if they have a shit game, God, is great fodder for me to be like, you walked in a crop top and just got your ass whooped.
Now you got to go talk to the media in a crop top after you got your ass beat.
Maybe next week do some basketball shorts and a white tee.
Like, so what went wrong today? He's like, well, it started with the closet for sure.
I made a choice. I didn't feel good about it coming in. Wanted to be bold. Took a couple shots. Shouldn't have took.
Alrighty, fellas. Well, anything else in the sports realm, sports world that we want to talk about before we get into some fantasy football thoughts?
Hell no. Let's start talking fantasy.
All right, Mike. Where do we want to start with this?
All right. So I don't know what you guys did to prep to talk about fantasy football, but I went through and I knocked out just a bunch of mock drafts. Like let's just knock out mock drafts all day. Let's see who I can get where. But the first thing I wanted to ask, because I found a kind of a rhythm. If you're drafting, when you're drafting in this year's draft, what position are you hoping that you're drafting from? I have found in all the mock drafts that I did, I like drafting at a certain spot in the draft much more than I like drafting at others. So, Evo, we'll start with you. Do you want to draft near the top? Do you want to draft one? Do you want to draft? We'll go 10-man draft here, 10-man draft. Standard league, or do you want to draft 10 somewhere in the middle?
I can tell you where I don't want to draft, and that's within the first 2 picks.
Same.
There's too much pressure there. Typically, those first overall picks, they're expected to be that bell cow breadwinner and make or break your team, and you have to wait so long to get a second player that you are really banking on that guy being basically a player and a half at a minimum, and it almost never works out. Either the player just doesn't live up to what they should, they get injured, something like that. So I do not like picking with those first couple picks, despite, it seeming to be a good year with Jameer and Bijan being those top 2 guys in most formats. There's still reason to be scared by those guys too. And you can see a world where things break down. I typically don't like being towards the end of the draft, though. And in one league that I am in right now, I am pick 11 out of 12. And you asked, what have I done to prepare for this, Mike? You know me. I'm a degenerate. I have been quietly getting prepared for fantasy football draft season for over a month. If I don't have fucking spreadsheets and notes and shit all over the place already, I'll be damned. But I'm starting to come around on the idea of being towards that back end of the draft, that turn, especially this year, because I think there's really good value that you can get in the 1-2 turn from those late draft positions. But if I had to just go with a default, I like the idea of picking, 6, 7, just because it evens out your picks.
Yep. I'm in the complete same camp. I normally don't like picking towards the back of the draft. I prefer like 3, 4, somewhere in that range. But a lot of the guys that are going to the top 5, like you said, have question marks. Christian McCaffrey's up there. Puka Nacua is biting people in the offseason. I don't like Jahmyr Gibbs with Drew Petzing. So there's a lot of things up there that I don't like. And then some of the guys towards the back end of the first are like bread and butter guys that I've won leagues with over the last few seasons. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb. Like those, I'd rather fall somewhere back there and then have a good pick on the turn.
Yeah.
So for me, what I have found is that I really like picking in this draft specifically towards the back end of this draft. I did a couple of drafts where I ended up picking 8, and those were easily the best teams.
That's right in the sweet spot.
Yeah, like because you get a guy that's pretty decent, like, and then you are immediately on that turn. Like I was able to get value that I did not think I was going to get, because the top end of this thing makes me like Jamar Chase is a great wide receiver. Is Joe Burrow going to play a full season to get Jamar Chase the ball? That always that is always a question in the back of my mind. Joe Burrow has been injured repeatedly.
There's also 2 Higgins games.
There are T. Higgins games.
Yeah, and producer Amber does bring up there was a Jamar Chase injury scare today, a little knee hyperextension. So we'll see what that does to his draft stock. Might drop him a little bit. I think that Jamar Chase might be one of the safer floors of those guys that are going to be taken probably within the first 6 picks outside of JSN, because I think JSN is going right around that middle of the first range a lot as well.
His ADP is 6.8 right now.
Yeah. Just because even with the quarterback instability that has been there in Cincinnati, he still gets his numbers for the most part. He's not necessarily going to be one of the absolute best in the league, but he's still very, very startable week in and week out, even with the Joe Flacco's out there a lot of times. And there's some reason to believe in this Cincinnati team this year on offense. I mean, Chase Brown is, a pretty damn good running back, especially in PPR leagues. The offensive line has gotten a little bit better. And you are just kind of betting on either Joe Burrow plays a full year and you're probably getting prime Jamar Chase, where he's going to be putting up, be one of the 5 best receivers in the league, or Joe Burrow is out there some, not all the time, and you're still getting a guy that is top 20 possibly. So the floor on him, I think, is pretty decent. And I would put it right there in line with the JSN.
Okay. All right. So we're all kind of thinking back half of this draft is where we want to be, a little safer, feel good about those kind of spots. So what's the strategy this year? You guys, are we a no running back? Are we running back heavy? The league's kind of starting to move back to a little bit more running back, I feel like, being involved. But wide receiver has obviously become a huge need. And it feels like the ball is being spread more and more around to guys. You got a couple of really top receivers, and then they all start to blend together a little bit. So what's the strategy you guys like to employ? I am very big. I used to be running back every time. I have since changed. I tend to be a wide receiver and round 1 guy now, followed by a couple running backs.
I typically like to split it up. Like, I really go best available round 1, and then I kind of, pick and choose from there. I need to come away with like at least like first 3 picks, either 2 receivers and a running back or 2 running backs and a receiver. I don't necessarily care which order they come in. It kind of depends on what I've got on the board. This year specifically, there's supposed to be, I have 12 running backs within the top 20 of ADP. So I think if you don't come away with 1 in the first 2 rounds, you're going to be really struggling at that position in the back half. Now, there are some people that I like that are down low. I'm sure we'll get to those guys in a little bit, but I think you have to get a running back within your first 2 picks this year.
Yeah, that's I was looking at some of the statistics actually last night. Slanted very running back heavy for a while just because there was such a dearth of talent. And I think that you have seen that kind of mellow out a little bit, where in most leagues right now, through the first 2 rounds of a 12-man league, so that's 24 picks, you're having 10 running backs, 9 wide receivers in most standard formats, which then, you got your couple tight ends or people who are going to pick a quarterback, things like that. So it's actually becoming a lot more of an even split through those first 2 rounds. Whether it's a hero running back or a double hero running back strategy, I think it really depends on your draft position. Obviously, if you are in those pick 1 or 2, you kind of are, in my opinion, handcuffed into taking a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Bijan Robinson, because the upside value is there. Like, those guys are the best in the league. But you're not going to be getting another running back probably worth that second spot in round 2 when it comes back around. You're probably going to start to need to flesh out your roster a little bit better and take a wide receiver, or if one of those top tight ends fell, you maybe give some consideration there. For what we were kind of talking about being that kind of back half of the draft, though, I think it's a prime position for a double running back build, because you are looking at guys like a James Cook, a Devon Achane, Saquon Barkley. Ashton Genty, with this injury news, kind of bumped him down a little bit further, where you can get 2 running backs that are considered your number 1 running back in those first 2 rounds. Whereas the wide receiver talent there, I'm not as super high on. Yes, Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb are right there around that pick 10, 11 range. But if they're off the board, to me, that's slam dunk time. Go ahead and hit 2 running backs, because you're probably going to be able to get yourself a James Cook, Saquon, Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, couple of those guys, and then you're kind of set at running back. Then you can just start hammering.
Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
You can start hammering wide receivers, which they all kind of start to mellow out into the same range for me personally through the next 3 to 5 rounds. And you're probably going to hit on a couple of them at that point. And at that point in time, your main bread and butter for most PPR style rosters is set. You've got 2 good running backs you're going to be able to play week in and week out. If one of those 2 guys fails, you're in the same spot as most other teams in your league, where they just have 1 stud running back. But best case, you've got 2 stud running backs. And if you need to start moving pieces around, making trades, you can do that. I would rather be safe and have 1 really good running back out of the 2 that I selected, and find ways to make it work with a whole bunch of other receivers, because in PPR leagues especially, you can find guys like a Wan'Dale Robinson in a later round who he's not lighting up the record books, right? He's been a number 2, number 3 guy in New York for years, and now he's going there to Tennessee, but he is a catch machine. Like, the guy gets a lot of receptions and a decent workload, and that is perfectly fine for a flex spot wide receiver, where it's going to keep you competitive.
All right. Listen, I can probably talk myself into going running back, and then wide receiver. The running back group is pretty deep, I feel like. We talked about all the way kind of down to Kenneth Walker. You get past that, there's a couple of guys in there you have question marks about. Are they going to be there? But a Javonte Williams, like, kind of look around in that 4th round, I feel like is a pretty decent value. He's going to be the prime running back there in an explosive offense for Dallas. Like, so I feel like there are a couple guys that you can get maybe here in the back end if you like one of these rookies, like a Jadarian Price. Jeremiah Love's going to go way higher than I think he should, because that Cardinals team's going to be terrible.
He was on my list of overdrafts.
Yeah. But like, there are a couple of guys later in this thing that I feel like, you know what, maybe we could get some go ahead.
I like ETN too. I like Tootin taking over ETN's spot in Jacksonville. Tootin's got a 62 for his ADP. I still like Ramondre Stevenson from the Pats down at 80 ADP. Like, there are some running backs that if you do miss out on getting your 2 off the jump, that you can throw right in there that are going to get you, 10 to 15 points.
If you feel safe about Cam Scadaboo's health,
same with Judkins.
He was on a pace to be a top 15 fantasy back before the injury. Like, he was, and you're getting him at pick 44. So it's pretty solid value for him there. And then the other one that I want to highlight here is kind of a guy that's being, in my opinion, criminally underdrafted, is Rico Dowdle.
Thank you. I was just about to bring him up, because Rico Dowdle's in one of those guys that he's not going until like 10, round 10.
Average pick 103.9. He did it in Dallas. He showed out last year when he finally got the time in Carolina. Now he's going into a timeshare with Jaylen Warren, but I'm not set on Jaylen Warren completely as being the lead guy. Rico Dowdle has shown that he can carry a full workload as both a receiver and a runner. He kind of was a league winner for a lot of people last year if you're able to get a Rico Dowdle on your team. People are overlooking the fact that he's going into this Pittsburgh system where it's 2 running backs, but I think it could be very much the same as it was in Carolina last year, where it was Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle. And by the end of the year, Rico Dowdle showed why he was the lead dude there. And getting him at pick 103 is criminally undervalued to me, because I think that he could easily be a top 30 back in fantasy.
He's going into the Kenneth Gainwell role there. Kenneth Gainwell was 16th last year amongst running backs for fantasy points. Like, Aaron Rodgers fed that guy on the goal line. He got a ton of work, even with Jaylen Warren out there. I don't expect Rico Dowdle to just all of a sudden get no tote. He's going to be a part of that offense.
Yeah, and he's more explosive. So
exactly.
Rico Dowdle is definitely an under. So let's stick with this theme here. these undervalued guys, some of these gems that you can get in the later rounds. Dubs, I know you said you had a couple of guys
I do.
you wanted to highlight. Go ahead.
Your guy. I feel like this one's kind of out of the bag. Somebody get it out of the way early. Harold Fannin.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Harold Fannin in fantasy. I have another tight end that I love as like sort of a backup option to him because I love to wait on tight end personally. There's so many good ones that you can get later on. Tucker Kraft went so late last year. I mean, he was fantastic until he got hurt. Arondre Gadsden from the Chargers is another one. He came on late. I love that guy. It was smashing anytime touchdowns and yardage props with him at the end of the season. ADP 126. I think he's going to have a solid season for the Chargers. And then my other tight end was Brenton Strange from the Jags. Just like he got hurt, but for a good portion of the season before Parker Washington really flourished in that offense, which he's another one that I feel like isn't getting enough love. Brenton Strange was the go-to guy there. He was getting 4, 5, 6 catches a game to start the season off. And if that's somebody you can get like at the last round of some of these drafts, absolutely. I'll take a flyer on that guy. And then Michael Wilson, I think, is my favorite one out of any of them.
You stole my guy. That was my number one underrated guy.
I had teams that were getting carried by that guy last year. I had my main dynasty team we drafted like 4 years ago, maybe. I had Brandon Ayuk. That's a tough place to be. And Alec Pierce and Michael Wilson came out of the fucking woodwork and saved the season last year. I ended up winning the championship. Michael Wilson is a dog. And like people are really low on Marvin Harrison, which the Sportsocracy always talks about, what's the drug you can't quit? It's Marvin Harrison. I can't stop. You're telling me I can get him in the 8th round? Absolutely sign me up. I don't care. Like I'll fall for that trap again. But it's weird to me that the industry is so down on Marvin Harrison, but they're not as up on Michael Wilson as I would expect them to be.
Yep,
all right,
fair enough.
Evo, go ahead, brother.
So I do lean running back heavy with a lot of mines. I'll bring one up right now. Quentin Johnson at wide receiver. I think people forget that
same team. I had him too.
He was ass up until last year.
Could not catch.
And then all of a sudden, he found a really good role in this offense. His role is only going to expand a little bit more because Keenan Allen isn't there. I also think Ladd McConkey is going to have a hell of a bounce back year. Like he's going to fit perfect in this new offensive scheme. But Quentin Johnson, you're getting him, pretty late at pick 137, average draft position. Like that's a solid receiver that you're able to get late. But there's some guys I just think even towards the top end of the draft that are being undervalued. They've forgotten that Nico Collins is really fucking good. Like that guy was like a 1st round pick receiver last year, or right there, fringe 1st round. And this guy's going towards the late end of the 2nd round. I think that you're getting a 1st round talent receiver if he's healthy. Ladd McConkey is another one for me that I think is going way too late right now. But a lot of those running backs that we were starting to kind of talk about, like I said, Rico Dowdle earlier, you're able to get some guys who are interesting, especially based off of handcuff capability and to become kind of, league winner type of guys. Ashton Jeanty did just have a bad ankle injury. And someone that I know that you guys are pretty high on through the draft process. I was not as high. I liked him. I just thought he was going to boost up a little bit. But Mike Washington Jr. is having himself a hell of a fucking preseason.
Dude, he is the best running back on that team.
Genty's on my list. He's on my list of overdrafts, and I have him my another fantasy team. I have a lot of Genty stock, and I think Mike Washington is about to tank that.
Yeah.
I think Mike Washington's better. He has been so explosive, man.
And ADP at 165, basically, that's a pretty damn good value for a guy who could easily take over as the lead back there, especially if Genty's injury stuff continues to kind of crop up. And then where is he at? I just lost him on here.
Monungai?
I'm not a huge Monungai guy. I think that he's solid, especially if he, comes back decent from this injury. I was going to go with a Kenny Gainwell. So another guy that we kind of mentioned earlier. He's the backup to Bucky Irving. Now, I was a huge Bucky Irving fan.
Bucky Irving, yeah.
And that's the thing is that I think Kenny Gainwell being there takes away too much of the PPR value of Bucky Irving. Bucky hasn't been able to stay healthy, but Kenny Gainwell has shown to be a PPR monster for teams. So that's like what Kenny Gainwell does. Is he's a really good receiving back with some running upside in that Bucks team where Bucky's not able to stay on the field and he's taken over that Rashad White role. I like what Kenny Gainwell can bring, especially
Was
for
it
PPR leagues.
the Ireland game last year? We had 3 touchdowns. They think he's just the Barry Sanders. He's the best running back they've ever seen.
Yeah,
they go
sure
over
that was
there and he
against
just
my
dominated.
Vikings. Yeah,
that's right. It
Kenny
was.
Gainwell out of
Yeah.
nowhere just had himself a hell of a week, and I think that he's going to be able to do that pretty well with Baker in Tampa Bay.
All right, so you guys talked about a lot of the guys that I wanted to talk about. So I got a couple more that I really want to
more quick shouts after too.
Okay, so for me, Jacoby Myers does not ever get enough credit. There's a total workmanlike attitude. Developed a huge amount of trust with Trevor Lawrence. Like, was their number one guy last year, and I believe he's their third ranked wide receiver in terms of fantasy coming into this thing, in terms of rankings out of their guys. I think he's going to potentially be their number one go-to guy. We saw Brian Thomas be incredible as a rookie. Huge step back last year, and Jacoby Myers was absolute steady Eddie, helping that team, make it to the playoffs. Like, gave Trevor Lawrence a guy that he could depend on and trust to let the ball rip. So that was a huge get. So I think he's like at 81, being drafted like round 9-10 area is ridiculous to me. And then Evo, I'm surprised you didn't bring this guy up. With the injuries to the running back room in Denver, Jonah Coleman is a guy that could get a lot of run. I was watching the Broncos game the other night. He's really hard to tackle. He is a muscle hamster. And we were talking about it. Kind of looks and runs a little bit like Marshawn. One guy does not bring him down. An arm tackle does not bring him down. All it does is spin him around, and then he just generates more force to run into the next motherfucker. Like, he's an interesting guy that you can get way late towards the end of the draft.
I like Jonah Coleman a lot. I was a big fan of him during the draft process as well. My fear and trepidation with him, and why I think actually his draft position isn't too crazy low, but he is definitely a person that you should look to target as a kind of a handcuff type guy in later rounds, is that he is going into a little bit more of a crowded backfield with J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. And Sean Payton traditionally is not one to play rookie running backs early. We kind of saw that a little with R.J. Harvey, where he wasn't getting a whole lot of play. We've seen it in previous years. So having Jonah Coleman there, I like him, but we are really banking on an injury to J.K. Dobbins, which is pretty common.
He's already been banged up once.
Yeah. So he's a guy that I like, but I think that his general draft position is all right.
Okay. All right.
Last couple shouts that I had were Jacoby Lane, rookie from the Ravens. He's getting a lot of love throughout their camp process. He's slated as their number 3. Rashad Bateman's proven he's not the guy. I think there's going to be targets to go around. Stribling for the Niners. Substation, it strikes and it strikes and it strikes again. So you never know. He's next man up there. First pick of the second round. Yep. It was right up there at least. So I think he's going a little bit underrated. Both of those guys are ADP 115 or lower. And Kayshon Boutte, my guy, just got traded to the Texans. Was not on any draft boards really before that because he was bogged down in the rotation here. I do think he's going to ball out for the Texans. That guy's a stud. Every time Drake May threw the ball to him, he caught it. Contested, sideline, over the middle, whatever it may have been. I wanted him more involved in the offense his entire time here. And the second Jaden Higgins went down with that injury in Houston, I was like, he's gone. The Texans are coming calling for sure. And sure enough, there he goes a couple days later. I think he's going to have a big part in that Texans offense.
And it helps out some of the guys there in New England as well. It makes it a little bit easier to feel like things are less crowded in New England. Obviously, right. A.J. Brown's going to get his, but young guys like Kyle Williams, who showed some, at least some deep threat capability last year, that's going to kind of help them possibly work into bigger roles there as well.
For sure.
All right, guys. So let's move on to those guys that are overdrafted, those guys that you want to fade, guys to stay away from in general. I'll start. My number one guy is super easy. Rashee Rice. being drafted in the second round. Listen, I think he's a very talented wide receiver. I don't know what that offense is going to look like. I think they might run the ball more.
They should.
I think that there's a chance that there will be some other guys that get a lot of targets. Like there are some dudes that have shown up in Chiefs camp that might take some targets away from Rashee Rice, who is not always the most trustworthy individual. Supremely talented, but some bad shit happens out on the field every once in a while.
Bad driver.
He's out there. Yeah, real bad driver.
I think Rashee Rice could be very good this year, but he's scary for me to be taking in the second round because I can't trust him both from a health standpoint and an off the field standpoint. And I do think that Chiefs team is going to lean a lot more into the run for sure. That being said, like it is scary to be taking him in the second round, but he could end up being in, one of the better wide receiver positions because Pat Mahomes has to throw the ball to someone. They can't all be deep shots to Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice is the best receiver on that team as it stands right now out of, Cyrus Allen, I think is his name.
Yeah, Cyrus Allen's performing pretty well in camp.
Yeah.
I got my guy Noah Gray backing up Kelsey too. He's from like 2 towns over from me.
Okay. All right. But like that is my number one that jumps off. Like, how are we taking Rashee Rice this high? I feel like there are a lot of receivers that I would want to take over Rashee Rice at that spot. Also, Jeremiah Love. Dubs, you kind of brought him up, and I'll let you go ahead and kind of take it away.
He's got the vulture behind him, man. I mean, the Cardinals' offense is shitty as it is, and I don't know how much different it's going to be. Obviously, they got new coaches there and stuff, but at the end of last year, they were airing it the fuck out. I understand they didn't have a lot going on in the running back room. They had a ton of injuries, but Jacoby Brissett, what was that game he threw? He had like 70 pass attempts that one game, 60, something absolutely insane.
Absurd number,
yeah, it felt like every week at the end of the year there, the Cardinals were losing a game, and Michael Wilson had like 150 yards. Trey McBride had 130, like that. They threw the ball a lot, and when you have a rookie running back, I always worry about what the workload's going to look at. We knew how good Bijan Robinson was. Everybody did, but they still only had him on 10, 12 carries a week, and it sucked for fantasy owners that took him high. Jeremiah Love scares me in that regard. Obviously a great player, and I saw the post going around. He looks like fucking Adrian Peterson. The way he runs, it's the same like posture. I
was trying to tell everybody, like when I saw him at the combine, everybody's like, "Oh, he's a lean, like shifty." No, that he is fucking large.
Yeah,
he is way bigger than he is listed. Like I don't care. However, he's carrying the weight. He's fucking massive.
Yeah. It was like identical to me. It was blacked out. It didn't say who was running the ball, and I was like, "Oh, it looks like AP," and it was the Jeremiah Love highlight from the preseason game. I was like, no fucking way. But Tyler Algier, that's what it is. He scares me. I think taking Jeremiah Love to a top 25 is where he's going most of the time. I'm good.
Yeah. And you still have James Conner there, who I don't know is necessarily going to stick there. Like you see running back injury, James Conner is an easy like trade bait for a team, probably get him pretty cheap. But like James Conner is still a relevant running back. Algier obviously is going to pick him up. But
Trey Benson cleared waivers too.
Yeah. Can't agree more with the Jeremiah Love stuff or Rashee Rice. For me, I'm going a little bit higher and look, it's easier to talk about the guys towards the top end of the draft because that's typically where some guys get overdrafted. It's a lot more of a crapshoot the later on that you go. One that I'm not necessarily completely fading, but at his current position, I'm not sticking with is Devin O'Shane. That Miami team sucks, and it seems like he's the best player on that offense, so he's going to get a lot of volume. And I like the idea of volume, but that team fucking sucks. The same reason why I'm kind of scared about stuff with Jeremiah Love in Arizona and how he's just going to have a really tough time running behind that line. I think that the same sort of stuff is going to happen with Devon Achane, except for they have a new head coach there. It is not Mike McDaniels. It is Packersville up there. Malik Willis does not do dump offs to the running back traditionally throughout his career. That's not the type of offense that was ran in Green Bay. I don't think that's going to be the situation so much there in Miami either. I think that he's going to get a lot of touches, but I think that you're also going to see Ollie Gordon getting a lot of touches. They're going to split things up a little bit more. And so I think that Devon Achane, while he's going to get his, it's also going to be less points on a weekly basis than you were normally seeing from him because the PPR value, I think, the receiving side is going to drop off a little bit. So right now his average draft position is right around 12. To me, it is still, he's a second round guy, but I'm taking him later. You see him sneak into the first round still sometimes. If it's purely a value play, I get it. But I like him a little bit later in the second round, actually, more towards the 2-3 turn personally. And then
like the one other Gordon shout too, by the way. I got him stashed in a couple dynasty leagues in case Achane goes down.
Yeah. And then beyond that, Drake London scares me.
Like Armchair is so high on him. He loves him.
Okay, so I was gonna bring this up because I had a guy I forgot in a sleeper. Kyle Pitts is a draft high for me, and he has not been a draft high for me ever because Kyle Pitts has been perpetually a fantasy nightmare. But Kevin Stefanski loves tight ends. Kyle Pitts is going to be put into all sorts of crazy positions and run into all sorts of different shit. Kevin Stefanski can draw some cool shit for tight ends. So I love Kyle Pitts, but because of Kevin Stefanski, I fucking hate Drake London. Like
I'm scared of him. I'm scared of the people getting in the ball too.
Yeah, when he started calling plays for the Vikings, numbers went down for the receivers. Fucking receivers degraded when he came here. He is not a friendly wide receiver coach. So Drake London for me is a at your own risk.
I'm scared. Yeah, that's Drake. It is who's getting him the ball. I don't trust Tua and Penix. While he can be decent, like I can't trust him to be on the field either. But it is a Stefanski thing for me. And then Drake London, while he's gotten progressively better every year, last year felt a little bit more like a peak to me of what he can do. I think that we're primed to see regression from him, almost the same way that we saw the regression from Justin Jefferson last year. Like I think that he could be fighting to get 1,000 yards receiving. And shout out, like I had faded Drake London in previous years, and shout out to him. He had a really good year last year. I'm not willing to bet that he's going to be able to repeat that again this year.
I was at the Falcons-Patriots game last year, and he balled the fuck out on us. He had Christian Gonzalez on him. He was dogging Christian Gonzalez. Gonzalez went out with an injury. He got Carlton Davis, made him his bitch. Like he was the best player on the field. That being said, I'm with you guys. I'm nervous about it. My co-host does not feel the same way. He's high on Drake London.
I hear that. Well, it seems like he's watching here. He should be giving us some shout outs of guys that are going too high as well, and some sleepers that he likes.
Yeah, here's some comments.
Noodle Arm Cousins and Penix are no worse than Penix and Tua. I'm with you.
Okay, I feel that. All right, other overdraft guys that you're trying to avoid.
I had one more on my list, and it kind of goes into like the guys that I think are going too low as well. That go hand in hand here. Travion Henderson, I think, is going too high, and Ramondre, I think, is going far too low. At no point has it been made clear that like Travion Henderson has surpassed Ramondre as the 1A in the backfield. It's never looked like that. Ramondre is always the one that's out there with the ones and joint practices, and the guy is better on the red zone. Travion Henderson has been questionable in pass protection, which was like something he hung his hat on coming into the league. So I don't understand where it went in a season, but there was none of it last year. He kept getting blown up, and Mondre is going far too low for me. I just don't think that it's ever switched. And even if it switched where Travion is the 1A in that, there's still going to be passing downs where Mondre's out there because all he's done is get better as a receiver every year. And watching practice and stuff, guys out on wheel routes constantly. Wheels, screens, whatever. They are very actively trying to get Ramondre more involved in the passing game. And if you look at his totals from last year, towards the end of the year, he's getting 4, 5, 6 targets a game. Like that's like Chase Brown stuff. That's like the same amount of targets that guy's getting. He's going top 20. I just think he's criminally underrated here. And Travion Henderson, like people are just drinking the Kool-Aid on him. I did it last year. I was hyped on him. I thought he was going to surpass Mondre, and I've always been a big Stevenson guy. And it just didn't happen. And I don't think he's improved to the point that they're ready to make that switch. And he's banged up now. He hurt his ankle yesterday.
Yeah, one guy I want to shout out, which in general, I am a proponent of waiting on your quarterback. Usually, outside of your couple guys like a Josh Allen that are generally worth taking higher, you want to wait on quarterbacks a lot, because the point differential between taking some of those guys in rounds 4 and 5 is not that different from guys in rounds 10, 12, things like that. One guy that I think is too high right now is Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is the 7th quarterback taken off the board. He's picked 76. He's going to be asked to not run as much, which is one of the reasons which makes him special, is that he has really good running capability. But more importantly is that the dude's going to get fucking hurt again. We already saw him in the blue tent when he was playing versus my Vikings. The backups fucking laid his ass out. The guy is liable to die if he's not focusing on his health, and focusing on that health and not running and being safer with the ball is not something that I think that he's going to be able to do. I just don't think that you can commit to taking him at pick 76 when I can get someone else like a Kyler Murray who has the same sort of concerns of this guy could run and get crushed and die, but I'm getting Kyler Murray at pick 146. And I think the upside for Kyler Murray as a passer is higher with that offense around him. So Jackson Dart, that is too high for me when you have guys going later in a Dak Prescott, in a Matt Stafford, Caleb Williams, who I like a little bit better as a rusher, and staying healthy from that. You're able to get those guys later. Save me on Jackson Dart.
All right.
Especially get Kyler Murray late.
We'll give him the shout out here to our boy Dave. If you guys want to get some sleepers and fades from a guy who does fantasy all the time, you go check out their videos over there at Great North Sports. Appreciate you being in here, brother. Any other guys that we're fading? I know I see Dave's wide open in here. Selling BTJ, Parker Washington. We like. Listen, he's got Mahomes listed in here, and I think that's also a buy because he's got him as a buy in here. I feel like they're going to come back. I don't think you can keep that team down offensively for a very long time. Andy Reid's been in the lab cooking up some crazy shit this year, and I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm high on Mahomes. I'm high on Neighbors, Burrow, all three guys he listed. I think we're good. Tucker Kraft too. Huge on that. I think he's going to bounce back completely fine. He was the best receiver on that team before he got hurt last year.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I said that's pretty true, but I don't think the Packers receivers are very good at all.
No, they're not. They're all threes.
Guys,
my ears.
I don't think that was. I think that was it. We don't have any other elements of the fantasy.
Last shout from me, Cortland Sutton, criminally low.
Okay,
I forgot him earlier.
I like him more than I like Jalen Waddle.
Me too. I feel like I got like castrated in the chat the other day talking about how I liked Cortland Sutton over Jalen Waddle, and everyone was like, "No, you're an idiot." I do. He was top 10 receiver fantasy wise last year. It's not just going to stop. He already has the chemistry with Bo Nix. I think there's like plenty of share to go around. He was throwing to Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, and all of the names under the sun that the Broncos wanted to trot out there. I think there's plenty of ball to go around for both of those guys, and Cortland Sutton is super consistent.
Adding Waddle, I think, only increases Sutton's value because now he's going to have less coverage on him. Like, plain and simple, it's going to open things up more for him.
Standard scoring, he's 103 ADP, far too low for a guy who was a top 10 receiver last year and didn't come out of the year with an injury. Makes no sense.
For sure.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, gentlemen, if we don't have anything else, I think we're going to wrap it up, guys. But to everybody who tuned in, thank you very much for tuning in. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful. Dubs, I'm going to give you the floor before I pass it to Evo. Go ahead and share with everybody tuned in where they can follow you and our guy Dave over in Great North Sports.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll be on Great North Sports. We're on every Wednesday, 8:00 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Great North Sports, all the socials, super easy to find. My own stuff is on @stoned_podcast is my Twitter. Everything else is Stone Sports Podcast, all one word. Twitch, Instagram, all the things. Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. Make sure to check out Dave's got the fantasy guide in all of our fantasy football videos in our bio, all that stuff. Check that out if you want any other fantasy advice from him. He's fucking good at this shit.
He's very good at this shit. We can't recommend that enough. Look, we like talking gambling a lot on here.
Yeah.
We're pretty decent with that.
We got gambling on Sundays coming up too. We'll be up
awesome
Sunday mornings, pre-show, pre-game, doing all the bets, all the fantasy picks, last minute stuff, inactives, all the things. So Wednesday nights, Sunday nights, or Sunday mornings, excuse me. That's where we're going to be football season.
Perfect.
I'm also on radio Friday with the Sportsocracy guys, 3 p.m.
Very nice.
All right, very nice. And Evo, my man, one last word, and then we're getting the fuck out of here until next week. And we got 2 shows right around the corner, and also the release of Dog Pound will be coming.
Hell yeah.
Evo, take it away.
Well, I'll leave you with the words of the famed prophet O'Shea Jackson Sr. You can do it if you put your ass into it. I'll leave that for tonight.
Well done. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I am Mike. The guy in the middle is Evo, and our friend joining us is Dubs there at the end. We appreciate you. This was Raw Dog Sports. See ya.
Yep.